baby, listen to me speak, yeah. No matter what, just say the word. Pop, Perswayable. What's going on, everybody? So it's Perswayable here, and today I actually want to show you part of the process of how I learned to become a better player. A lot of my videos show you me show me kiting, showing people how to kite successfully, but I haven't actually done any videos showing you what I do during the learning process. And I feel like that's very important. So a lot of people always ask, how did you climb to the top? How are you a great player? I'm a great player because I'm not afraid to experiment during rank mode against some of the best hunters in the game. And I make mistakes all the time. You cannot become good at this game if you don't make mistakes. And I want people to feel a little bit more comfortable with dying. Although it sucks, you have to look back at your gameplay, your style, and say, okay, what can I do better next time? And also, because I'm ranked first in US and EU in terms of EXP, I don't ever want to become a tryhard, right? And sometimes I feel like I can be that way because at the end of the day, people become so obsessed about being the best that they cannot handle bad games. So here, I know that I'm facing a geisha. So I'm facing a geisha, and I'm at one of the worst parts, what I consider one of the worst parts of Lakeside. You do have a little bit of ability over here, especially that house that we're looking at. So watch her teleport on me. And so I'm going to show you what I do right and what I do wrong. So I really wanted to experiment with this part. How many times can I loop? How many times, it's against a geisha. I was able to make her miss right there. And I really wanted to practice the moonwalk into another spot, right? So that you see me experimenting during this rank match a little bit. And what I'm doing right here is I'm kind of looping around. And one of the mistakes I make is that I should have probably kept looping around. And instead, I just kind of returned back to moonwalking. So my objective here is, okay, I was able to use some of the resources. I may not be able to get away with this technique against a joker, but what I do wrong here is she hits me. I hit an object. I don't check behind me. I thought that I had a second to get that pallet down, and I didn't. So I started off the kite pretty strong, relatively strong, and I was able to do the moonwalk. I was able to transition to another part. And some of the mistakes that I made here, and this is how you learn different sections of the map, guys, right? So I'm trying to show you this is my learning process. I look at each individual part of a map and I say, okay, how can I do that differently next time, right? And what I did wrong is when I was able to do that first transition, that first moonwalk, right? I still have those pallets and those things to play with. I could have looped around that another 2 or 3 times at minimum and still bought up some time because she didn't injure me. Secondly, what I did wrong as well is that when I did start transitioning with the second moonwalk back towards the house, I actually accidentally hooked the wrong way. I hooked back into the cornfield instead of hooking towards the house. So my exit strategy was to use the house, and what I did is I actually deviated away from it. So I really messed that up. I did a few mess ups. Now, here's what the magician does wrong. He rescues me, right? He takes all that time to rescue me. And then instead of trying to body block me, he just leaves me wide open. He just wasted his time trying to rescue me, and he wasted my time. If he was able to try to body block and stay right on my butt and try to hit an attack, I would have probably been able to kite for another 30 seconds to a minute at minimum. All I needed to do was get out of that house, and I wasn't able to. So when you rescue somebody and you're not the coordinator or whatever the situation is, you got to make sure that you're trying to body block. You can take one hit. So that it was just a waste of time. That was a waste of time. It was a waste of an effort. It was a waste of a survival. And sure, I should have been able to last longer, right? Hell yeah, I absolutely agree with that. But you're seeing mistakes in a top tier match that kind of they kind of stack on top of each other, right? It's easy for you to body block against a geisha instead of a clown because you know that with the geisha, she doesn't have an attachment that's reducing her attack recovery speed. So I wanted to show you how I learned to kite. I want you to see my process of failing and what I take away from it and how I take that and say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it next time. And this is how I am learning Lakeside. Lakeside's still a new map for me. And I do this with each part of the map. And you cannot be afraid to experiment or change up your style depending on whether you're facing the clown or the geisha, right? That method will not work against a clown. Maybe early game, but definitely not late game. with a clown. So this is how you learn, guys. You just kind of experiment, you play with different things, you play with different palettes, different strategies, and eventually you will become better. You cannot be afraid of failure, and you just really need to kind of keep practicing the loops, practicing different things. And I wanted you just to see part of that process with me, and that I'm not invincible, and that I die as well, especially when I'm experimenting the new map. And I think this also will help me keep humble as well, and never pretend that I'm invincible, because I am not. All right, guys. Well, I hope you appreciate the video. I just really thought that a video showing you my learning process, how I started at the bottom and got to the top, and how I continue to evaluate my gameplay. I think it's very important. I think you guys shouldn't be disgruntled when you die. Just get back at it. Keep practicing each part of the map. This is how you will perfect it. Lakeside's still new for me, still learning it, still messed up with the geisha. You saw a messed up save right there that really didn't, he just left me completely. This is how we try to get better. This is how we try to improve our gameplay. And the difference between a good player and a bad player is a good player is not afraid to criticize their own gameplay and say, I can't do it like that next time, or I need to do it differently. But a bad player will blame everybody else in the world. All right, so hope you guys were able to learn something. I got a few guides coming, doing research on Lucky Guy. Got a geisha guide coming soon. And yeah, any questions, feel free. Oh, and also we have 450 followers on Twitch already. That's crazy. So check me out on Twitch, Perswayable. I'll start live streaming there soon. And thank you, guys.